Welcome to the Vendio webinar. My name is Nathan and I'll be showing you some tips and tricks to save time while managing multiple selling channels. There will be time for questions at the end, so please go ahead and type your questions into the question box during the webinar. And then at the end, I will do my best to answer those questions for you. During the webinar, we will be covering topics such as importing your active eBay listings from eBay and sending those items over in bulk to Amazon and OpenSky. We'll also take a look at editing items in bulk using both CSV files and also editing items in bulk from within your online Vendio account. We'll also be taking a look at other tips and tricks that we come across along the way. All right, let's get started by taking a look at how an eBay seller can expand to selling on additional marketplaces. The first step is to make sure that your active eBay listings are in your Vendio account. If they're there already, then you're already good to go on that part. But let's take a look at how to import those items if they are not already in your Vendio account. And to do this, we'll go to Items in the top of the page, and then Import Items. And then once we're on the Import Items page, we'll click on the eBay icon. And then on the next page, we are going to select the options that we want to use for importing. If you do have multiple eBay accounts associated with your Vendio account, then you would select the eBay account that you want to import from here. Next, you want to select the item allocation strategy. I do recommend the shared strategy, especially when selling on multiple marketplaces. The shared strategy allows you to send your entire quantity of the item that you're selling to all of the marketplaces that you sell on. And then when an item sells on one marketplace, Vendio will automatically adjust it on the other marketplaces for you. If it's just a quantity of one and it sells on one marketplace, then Vendio will end the listings for you on the other ones when that item sells. Using the shared item allocation strategy allows us to do that for you. You can then also select to import both your currently active and also recently closed eBay listings, or you can only import in your active eBay listings. If you want, you can restrict the imported items to specific eBay store categories, or you can import from all eBay store categories. And then finally, these last three checkboxes allow you to easily get your items added to your Vendio store at the time that you import. And so I do recommend that you're checking those boxes, especially if you are using the Vendio store or if you're selling on OpenSky. That will help there as well. But once these settings are correct, go ahead and click the blue Import My eBay Items button, and then the import will begin. There is a button at the bottom left of this page to view import status, and you can click on that button in order to see the current status of the import so that you know once it's completed. The amount of time that an import takes to complete will depend on the number of listings that you have active on eBay. The more listings that you have, the longer it takes for that import to finish. But while we're waiting for that import to complete, let's take a look at how to add your Amazon account to your Vendio account. And to do this, we will start by going to Preferences at the top right of most pages in your Vendio account. And then once we're on the Preferences page, we'll select Channels from that drop-down box at the top. And then we can scroll on down to the Amazon section. You can see here that the account that I am using already has Amazon connected, but let's take a look at what it will look like if you do not yet have Amazon connected to your Vendio account. In that case, it will look just like this right here, where you can have this link that you can use to log into your Amazon Seller Central account. And what you want to do is just simply click on that link. It will direct you to Amazon where you can then log in. And then you'll get a few pages from Amazon where they ask you to agree to a few things. They're basically just letting you know that you are giving Vendio permission to access your Amazon account for the purpose of your listings and orders. But please do go ahead and read the information that Amazon shows you, and assuming that you're okay with it, just click through to agree and continue. And then once you're done, you'll be redirected right back to your Vendio account. And then your account should look very similar to this, where you can see that your Amazon account is connected. And then you're connected to Amazon. Along the same lines, you can also connect to your OpenSky account. Again, my account here is already connected to OpenSky, but if we take a look here, you can see what it looks like before you're connected to OpenSky. And if you do want to sell on OpenSky as well, then you can click this Continue to OpenSky button, and that will give you a short form. It's a one-page form that you need to fill out in order to open your OpenSky account. It has some pretty basic information, such as what you want your OpenSky username and password to be, what you want your OpenSky store name to be. Pretty basic information that that you likely already have available, or that you'll need to think of, what you want your store name to be there. But once you've filled out that short form, just go ahead and click to continue at the bottom of the page. And again, you'll be redirected right back to your Vendio account. And then you should see that your Vendio and OpenSky accounts are now linked. All right, next, let us go to the My Items page and take those imported eBay listings that we've imported and send them on over to Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close out of this page. And then I'm going to go to Items at the top of the page, and then My Items. And then you can see we have the 5 listings here that we want to send over to Amazon. You can either select individual listings by putting check marks in the boxes to the left of them, or you can select an entire page of listings at once by selecting this checkbox at the very top left of the page, and that will select all the items on the page. You can have up to 100 items on the page at a time, so you can do this with up to 100 items in bulk at once. And to send these items over to Amazon, we're just going to go to Actions and then Match Amazon Catalog. And what our system does is it takes all of that data that was imported from eBay and it uses it to find the best match in Amazon's catalog. If you have information such as the ISBN or UPC code in the eBay listing, then it's probably going to be pretty easy for our system to match that up with the correct item. And in that case, you'll usually see just the one match because our system is able to properly identify the item and match it on up. Sometimes you may see multiple options that our system gives you because it's not quite sure which one's correct. If that's the case, you just want to take a look and then select the correct one. In this case, it looks like this is probably a duplicate Amazon catalog item, so they're probably both technically correct, but we'll go ahead and keep the default. You do, though, want to take a look, just a quick glance, and make sure that the matches do look correct to you. And assuming that they are, you can also change the Amazon price if you need to. It's taking the default price from the eBay listing, but perhaps you want to sell it for a different price on Amazon, then you would be able to change that right here from within this grid. Also, you can change the condition if you need to, or add any condition notes. But assuming that the data is correct, you have 2 ways of publishing these to Amazon from this page. You can either do them individually by clicking Save and Publish for each individual item that is correct, or if they're all correct, just scroll down to the very bottom of the page and click this one button to save and publish the Amazon ready items from this list. And then once you click that item, all of these items will be sent right on over to Amazon to be published. And then you're done. I mean, you want to check and make sure they're successful, but those items will be sent on over to Amazon. All right, next let's take a look at how to send items over to OpenSky in bulk. It's a somewhat similar process to Amazon. It looks a little bit different. But to do this, we again can select either individual items or select the entire page of items. And we're going to select the entire page in this case. And then we're going to go to the Actions button again, and this time we're going to go to Send To, and then OpenSky. And so on the next page, we have this grid here which shows the different listings that we're sending over to OpenSky. And we do have a few things to note about OpenSky that we want to make sure that you are aware of. The first is that OpenSky does only accept fixed shipping costs, otherwise known as flat rate shipping costs. They do not support calculated shipping at this time. So you do want to make sure that you are using fixed shipping with the items that you're sending over to OpenSky. The grid right here will show you which shipping profile you are currently using for those items. If you do need to change it to a fixed profile, you can use this drop-down box right here to apply a shipping profile in bulk. The drop-down box will show you all of the shipping profiles that are currently in your Vendio account. So in this case, I will select the fixed price shipping profile. Not really necessary because it's already here, but assuming that we had some different shipping profiles listed here, this would change it to fixed price shipping for all of those items for us. The next thing to keep in mind, the price and the shipping profile are shared between OpenSky and the Vendio store. And also the OpenSky category, price, and item weight are mandatory for listing to OpenSky. For the category, you have two different ways to do it. You can either add the OpenSky category individually, or you can do it in bulk. To add it individually, you can just double click in the category field and then use the drop-down box to select the correct OpenSky category for each item individually, or you can use this drop-down box at the top. This would be assuming you're using the same category for all of your items, and then you can select that category to apply it to all of them. For the item price, you would just double click in the price box if you need to put in a different price than what is showing, and just type it on in. And then the item weight, if that weight is incorrect or if it's not showing up there, it is mandatory, so you do want to add that in if necessary. And then once you have entered in all of that information, just go ahead and click the send button, and those items will be sent on over to OpenSky. All right, now that we have taken a look at how to send items to OpenSky and Amazon in bulk, let us also take a look at some of the bulk editing options that we have. One of the most handy bulk editing options that we have is the Csv Import option. If you're not familiar with CSV files, then it can kind of sound scary to some people. CSV is really just an Excel spreadsheet that has data in it, and then you can make changes to that spreadsheet data and then just upload those changes to Vendio. CSV stands for comma separated value. It's sometimes called comma delimited. And again, it can sound scary, but it really just means that when that data is uploaded to Vendio, the Vendio system just uses commas to know where to put each data, each bit of data. But you can just, again, think of it just like an Excel spreadsheet, and you just have to save it in that one particular format in order for it to work properly. But in order to use the CSV import option, we're going to go to Items, and then Import Items. And then we're going to click on the CSV File button. And on this page, there are two pretty important links. The first is the link to how to prepare your import file. And this has all of the different fields and values that can be used, and also explains how they work. So if you take a look, for example, scroll on down to the first part, so you can see one of the fields is the SKU field, and so in this document it lets us know the name of that field that's in the import template. It lets us know what that field is. The SKU is a unique identifying inventory number. It lets us know whether it's required or not. It is required for update mode. There's two different types of importing that you can do with the CSV file. One is to create completely new items, and another is to update existing items. And then it lets us know what it's used for. It's basically used for all of the marketplaces. And then it also lets us know any requirements about that field. There is a 40-character limit for the SKU field. And then this document goes through each and every one of those fields and lets you know all that information about them. You do not need to use all of the fields in the document. You really only need to use the ones that are relevant to you. All right, and then going back to the import page, there is also a link to download the spreadsheet template. And the spreadsheet template has all those fields right along the top. And again, you can just fill out the ones that you need to use. When you are creating a completely new item, the title field is the field that is required. And then once that item is created, if you have not entered in a SKU, our system will create a SKU for you. Or you can enter in your own SKU, and then that will be the SKU that will go along with it. If you're updating an existing item, the way our system matches up the existing item with the data that you enter in this document is with the SKU. So the SKU field is required when you're using update mode in order to update an existing item. You can fill in, other than those required fields, you can fill in as many or as few of the rest of the fields as you like, depending on the information that you want to upload. You can really put in very basic information and then continue editing the item online if that's the way you'd rather do it. Or you can enter in all the information that you need here and then have it ready to go and list once you upload it to your Vendio account. Let's take a look at in creating an example item. I won't fill in every field, but I'll fill in some of them just to give you kind of an idea of how the process would go. There, you would use one row for each item. So we'd start by putting in a SKU. And I do recommend that you create a SKU yourself. And that way you have that SKU already in this document. I'll go over a little bit more about why I recommend that in a little bit, but I do recommend that you create your own SKU, even if it's just a unique number that means nothing to you. At least you have that SKU in this document. Again, I'll explain that a little bit more in a bit. And then you would enter in the title of the item, product identifier type, so that would be like your UPC, and then the actual UPC, of course. This is not real data, but just to give you an idea of how it would work. If you have a subtitle, you'd enter that in here. Your total inventory quantity that you have on hand of the item. The cost to seller, so this is how much you paid for the item, and I do recommend that you enter this information in. It's very helpful when it comes to the reports that Vendio provides. If we know the amount of money that you paid for the item, then the profit and loss reports can let you know how much profit you're making, or if you're losing money, how much money you're losing. Hopefully that's not happening, but if it is, it's something that's good to know. But having the costs that you paid for the item entered in allows that report to work properly. And then the price is the amount of money that you are charging for it. The item description would just be the description of the item. You can put HTML code into this description box if you want. The item's condition, any condition notes, the item weight, and this would be in ounces, the shipping weight, so that would be with all the packaging and everything included, the item dimensions, length, width, and height. So, and again, I know this information isn't exactly accurate, but you know, it's probably much more than that. And this information here, this is in inches. And then the item package size, if you want to enter in that. The inventory folder, which I do recommend using inventory folders, and we'll touch on that in a bit later as well. But if you're putting this in an inventory folder, then the name of that inventory folder. The item allocation strategy, like I mentioned earlier, I recommend shared, especially when listing in multiple marketplaces. Any inventory notes, this next batch of fields is mostly for your reference. And we'll kind of skim through that. Warehouse location, even if you don't have a warehouse, if you're a a single person that's running your business. This could be where within your store, where you're storing everything, whatever system you use. This would allow you to locate quickly where the item is. Images, you can upload up to 50 images per item, and you would just put in the image URL for that item in the image box. And then we have one column for each of those 50 images. If you're using custom fields, that would be here. eBay site, so like if you're selling on eBay Motors, then that's where you would type in eBay Motors. Your eBay user ID, in case you have multiple eBay accounts associated with Vendio. This would let us know which one you want to use. If you leave it blank, then we'll use your default. eBay category and category 2, and also the eBay store categories. The title on eBay, that's only if it's different from the main item title you already entered. The eBay listing format, so this would be like auction or fixed price. The duration of that listing, the quantity that you're listing there. Excuse me. The buy it now fixed price, so that would be if this was an or that would be the that would be the amount that you're charging for that. Starting bid and reserve price would be if it was an auction. And then we have some of the Vendio store specific information if you're using the Vendio store, such as the Vendio store category, the Vendio store sale price, so that's if you're actually putting the item on sale, and then that sale start and end date. If you want the item homepage featured on the Vendio store. And then if you're using variations, that's when these columns come in handy. I'm not going to get into too much detail on variations right now. There is more information on variations from within that the document that we were looking at on how to create the CSV file. And then if you get stuck, absolutely reach out to our support team and we can help you with that if you need it. Basically, the way that variations work, to give you the quick version, is that you have one row with the parent item, and that would be the main item that has all that data that we've just been talking about that you would be entering in, and then you would have a separate row for each variation where you would then put in the details. But again, take a look at the how-to document if you do use variations, and then let us know if you need further help, and we're happy to walk you through the specifics on that if necessary. The parent SKU lets us know which item the variation goes with. The eBay gallery image, if you want it to be something different from the default. And then if you're selling on OpenSky, we have the OpenSky category, whether that OpenSky product is customizable. If it is customizable, then the customization prompt, and then also the estimated number of days that it takes you to ship that item for OpenSky. And then at the end, we have these blank columns, which are actually useful. We did just add the ability for you to import your eBay custom item specifics. And I do recommend using this option. You can get more details on how to do that from page 21 of the import manual. We'll give you some more information. But to give you kind of an example of how that works, let's say that one of the eBay custom item specifics you need to enter is the brand. You would just simply create a column with the name brand for that custom item specific, and then in the row for your item, you would just enter the brand for that item. And then you would just do a separate column for each custom item specific that needs to be entered. And so a good tip that I wanted to give you for something to do is to keep a copy of your import file with all of the data included. And the reason I recommend that is because then if you need to make changes to existing items, it's much easier to do it from that original Excel spreadsheet. So if you create your items using this method, using the CSV file method, then I would just keep a copy of that original file that you used to create it. If you don't have that data in Excel yet, what you can do is you can go to your Vendio account, and then you can go to Items, Inventory Export. And then on the inventory export page, I would just select all of the fields and then select and click this blue export inventory button. And it will take it a little bit of time for that document to be created. It'll show you the status of that export request right here. And then once the export is finished, you'll be able to click a link to download a copy of that file. And the reason I recommend that is because if you have all that data in an import document like this, and then say maybe eBay makes a change and you need to update your items quickly, and you need to make changes to most of them, or possibly ones in certain categories, or maybe it's the beginning of the year and shipping prices have changed, and so you need to make some changes around shipping, or really any change that you need to make. If you have that data in the spreadsheet, then you can easily make those changes right here from within the grid using find and replace if you need to, and then upload the document using update mode from your Vendio account to make those updates. So I do recommend that as something that can be useful. All right, but once you have that file filled out, you want to save the file, make sure that it's still saved in CSV or comma delimited format. And then you can go back to your Vendio account to that import items page for CSV file. And then you just click the choose file button, select that document that you just created. I do recommend keeping this box checked to make newly imported items immediately visible in your Vendio store and OpenSky, assuming you're using either of those options. And then the profiles here allows you to select which profiles you want associated with those imported items, and you would just select those profiles here. This change would only work if you're using import mode to import new items. It would not make changes using update mode. There are other bulk options to change profiles if you need them from within the online account. And of course, make sure you have it selected correctly as well. If you're importing completely new items, make sure import mode is selected. And if you're updating existing items, make sure that update mode is selected. And then once you're done, just click the import my items from file button, and that file will be imported. You can check the status of the import under the import items page by clicking that view import status button. All right, next I wanted to take a look at bulk editing items from within your Vendio account. To do that, we're going to go to items and then my items. And editing items in bulk can greatly decrease the amount of time it takes you to manage your inventory. But the first thing we want to do is we want to click this button, this box for quick edit mode at the top of the page. And one of the ways that you can bulk edit items from here is by just double clicking on the field that you want to edit. So for example, maybe the UPC code is incorrect. You would just double click and then make whatever change you need to make. And then just click the save button at the bottom right of the page. And then your change has been saved. And most of these fields can be edited in that way, just by double clicking on the field that you want to edit, changing it, and then saving your changes again at the bottom right of the page over here. You can also use the bulk edit panel on the right in order to edit items singly or to edit them in bulk. So let's take a look at doing just one item here. Select that item. And then you see that all of the fields show up here with any data that has been entered for them. And then you can just change the data that you need to right from the bulk edit panel. And when you're done, click the save change or the save button at the bottom right, and it will save your changes. You can also select multiple items or an entire page of items and then edit them using the bulk edit panel right here. And then what you can do is maybe you need to change the shipping profile for all of your items. You can just use the drop-down box to select the new shipping profile and then click the save button at the bottom right of the page in order to apply that change to all of those items. And again, this is a really great way to edit your items in bulk, up to one page of items, so up to 100 items at a time, in order to get those changes made quickly. One good tip here is to use the folders option to keep your items separated out into different folders. For example, with these 5 items that we're looking at the moment, we have 3 phones and we have 2 books. And it could be that at some point in time you need to make changes to all of your phones, but not your books. And if they're separated out into folders, then that would be something that would be easier to do. So what we would do in order to do that is we'd click the folders button at the top left, and then we click add, and then we'll create a folder. Let's call it phones. You can see that folder now exists here. And then we're going to go back to the main page, select our phones, click actions, move, select that new folder, and then click OK. And now when we go back to folders and to phones, you'll see that we have a folder with only our phones. And then if you need to make changes to just your phones in bulk, you can just pull up just the phone folder, select all the items, use the bulk edit panel, and make that change and get those changes done very quickly. So that is a good reason to use folders, and it might seem simple, but it is something that can be a really big time saver if you already have it set up that way when it becomes time to use that option. Also, let's take a look at the options button at the top right. This is a good tip to look at as well. If you click on this options button, it shows all of the different fields that can be used and shown on the My Items page. The ones that are turned on have check marks in the box to the left, and the ones that are not turned on do not have a check mark. I do recommend going through this list and making sure that the fields that are turned on are fields you use and want to see, and also to make sure that there aren't any fields that are turned off that you might want to turn on. For example, if you don't sell on Amazon, you're probably going to want to turn off the Amazon price field. It's not really, wouldn't really be relevant to you. But on the other hand, maybe you sell heavily on eBay and you want to be able to see your eBay fixed price cost at a glance, then you would just check this box to turn that on. But I do recommend going through that list and making sure that you have everything there turned on that is useful to you. All right, well, this concludes the Vendio webinar on tips and tricks to save time while managing multiple selling channels. I really hope that you found the information helpful. Let me take a look and see if there are any questions. Sure, James, yeah, please go ahead and just type out what question you have. Okay, so it says I imported all my items with committed instead of shared. What is the best way to edit all of them? I don't believe that's an option in the bulk edit panel, but I'm going to double check that before I tell you that for sure. Even if it's not, though, I have a solution for you, but let me take a look at that first. Don't believe we've added it there yet. Yeah, so that is not an option in the bulk edit panel, but what you can do is just send a message to our support team using the help link at the top right of the page here, and just let us know that you're trying to do that, and then they can have our engineers make that change for you in bulk to your items to set them over to the shared strategy. Sometimes there can be some corner cases or instances where there are concerns with what happens on one marketplace when that happens. So that's why the engineers need to take a look at it in order to make the change for you. But I believe they should be able to do that. Again, just send a message to our support team, let us know that that's what you're trying to do, and we should be able to assist you in making that change for you. All right, next question. I would like to delete them all and re-import. Can I do that? You can. It's not really the best way to do it, though. I see you said right after that you'll send a message. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend that, especially if you have active listings. It can make the data be a little bit inconsistent. So yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend that method. Yeah, let's see. When you say Vendio store, are you referring to Facebook as well? Yes, so that's up to you. What you can do for the Vendio store is you can basically show your Vendio store on Facebook and turn it into a Facebook store pretty quickly. To do that, you would go to stores at the top of the page, and then you would go to, let's see, I think it's under applications. Yep, you go to applications. And then you click this Get It Now link, and that would just redirect you to Facebook. Should be a pretty quick process to just click and connect the two. But the Facebook store will then mirror your Vendio store. And so then when you make changes to your Vendio store, it would also be making those changes to your Facebook store. I think that's the last question that I can see from you. Oh, here we go. When I try to add my store to my fan page, I'm getting an error. Yeah, please send us those details to the support team so that we can take a look at that. Not sure what the problem would be there, but send that over to our support. They'll take a look, and if they need to, they'll ask our engineers to take a look as well. Okay, yeah, go ahead and just let me know what those questions are. How can I add a column for vendor and have it show up on the My Items page? You can definitely add a custom field, but I don't believe you could show that on the My Items page. What you could do, let's see, maybe the inventory notes or label field would work for you. So you can turn on the inventory notes or label field. The inventory notes field is sortable and the label is not. So I'd probably do the inventory notes field. To do that, you click on the item to edit it, and you can do this for the CSV file as well. You can edit this field. And then in the inventory tab, there's an inventory notes field here. So you could use that field in order to say who your vendor is. So it's not exactly like, it's not an exact vendor column, but it could basically serve the same purpose. How does the advanced work at the bottom of the page? Oh, that's just for other fields. So labels, that was one of the columns that you can add. It's basically just new other custom fields that you can use to have associated with your inventory item if you really want to add more fields. Basically, we have them hidden by default because it can confuse people if they think they have to fill them in, and it's really just additional optional fields that they can use. Sure, yeah, go ahead. Let me know that last question. When I imported all my items, my sold items appear that they need to be processed as paid shipped. That I'm not sure of. That's something we need to take a look at in more in depth on the support side. I would go ahead and send us a message about that. Give an example or two so that we can take a look. If they're eBay items, the easiest way to do it, to fix it, would probably be to just select those items in bulk and mark them as paid and shipped. If you imported from Amazon and are having that problem, I'd be a little more cautious. Amazon rules require that the ship time and date are correct. in order to make sure that you're not in violation of any of their policies. And so marking those as bulk shipped now for Amazon could potentially give you some problems in your Amazon account. There are ways to do it where you can specify the day it was shipped, but hopefully this is eBay or you're talking about and not Amazon. Either way, you can send us a message in support and we'll take a look. If it's eBay, you can try that option of marking them in bulk. If it's Amazon, I would definitely just contact support and let us take a look first. So you should be able to send screenshots with the help link. We don't really need a screenshot though. I would just let us know the general issue. And then an example or two for those ones that need to be marked as paid and shipped. For the email though, you should be able to add a screenshot. That should be an option for you. Let me just go to our help page and double check that, but I'm fairly certain you can. And just so you see what I did there, so I just went to help at the top right of the page, and that brought up this page here, and I just clicked request support. And here you go. Yeah, there's a file attachment right here. I'm sure there's a file size limit, but it should be relatively large, so hopefully you won't run into that. You can just fill out that short form there and send it on in. Let me double check and make sure I got everything here. I think I got all your questions. This question widget, by the way, in the webinar, it's not very good. It only lets me see like one line at a time. So it looks like you're saying that I got everything. So yeah, great. I hope you found the webinar useful. Definitely reach out to support with those issues that we talked about. And have a great day. Thank you for joining.